Alright, hello Professor. Welcome to the final project. Alright, so as you can see I did the platformer, and I'm just gonna go right down the list that I made. That's what I got from this. So to start off, I'm gonna do sprite import and display. I always click on scripts. As you can see, I have this folder of sprites that I've imported, all free from itch.io. I credit all of them that I used. So, but like here's my player sprites and everything. One of the UI elements that I used. Um, Here it is on the screen and in the game. It's displaying. Alright, I hope that is sufficient. This is all from Project 1 too, by the way. I'm just going to go right down the list so it'll get progressively harder, I guess. So, then with get key down, you can see, well, it's get key or get button down. So you can see here as for my jump, I use a get button down. Um, and I also use a get key right here for my sprint. I also explained that in the last video, so there's uses of that. And the next thing is also get access, so I'm just going to also show that right here. Here's it working really quick. Now obviously the get access moves a little bit different, but and then as for the application quit, I'll have to go and open up my stuff here and go to my scene scripts. It's in here, application.quit. When you play it, which when you play it, it just quits the game. I showed that last time. Um, if you want to mark it here, you can. If not, I will show it later in the video, and I can also put that time down for you. I don't want to build it right now and stop this pace and everything. That would kind of throw a wrench in it. At least I think so. So then I can just go right over to my player. Which do I have the pawn open? I do not. So we're gonna go to here. Here's the pawn. I have a bunch of public stuff here, but as for the movement speed, here it is. Speed. Um, Obviously, just showing it. You can adjust it. Here's speed, and all pawns have this, so all enemies and stuff. There's how fast I'm moving. Now, whoa! Look, the designer can change that. I think it was 15 before. Yeah. Okay, so then after public movement speed, we're on to project 2 on my list. Project 2. And we're going to start out with the game manager, singleton. So I have it in my managers folder here. It handles a lot of the same things as last time. It handles your score, your lives, your coin amount, um, what's supposed to be the scene time. It is. I just need to round down the variables and have it reset in between levels. But then I got a respawn point also for the player. So, and here it is, public static. There's the singleton. Um, it's put into use, and I'm pretty sure the next one is controls game logic. So we're just going to go right down the list right there. So there's the singleton. I'll show where it's in use in a little bit, but it handles all sorts of game stuff. It initializes everything, finds the player in the start, initializes all the UI elements, um, and then this is also so it will find them when I reload it from my game over. And then it also handles all the points and the level time and losing a life and get the game over right here. And it handles the player's coin amount, and it also handles what happens when the player dies. Like this is if you. So I made this, and that way, if you get to 0 lives, it's just calls lose a life. All you have to do is all you have to do is call lose life, and then it checks if you have a game over or not. I don't have to make like a separate death function or anything like that. So I made that. It calls it here, and then I call this on anything that I want to kill the player when it touches it on player death. Um, and it makes you lose a life, and then it sends you back to your last respawn point. I don't know. So then the respawn point, I will show that later because that's actually one of my things coming up later. I'll show how that works. I was just looking for it right there. But I'm going to move right down on the list just so you know where I'm at. I think you already do, though. It's use of on trigger enter 2D. So I have a couple of those. We're just going to hop on over to my Walker pawn, and I have it over here. So if the player runs into it, and this is for this little hitbox that's on the top of its head. It plays a death animation. It sends some points. Um, it plays a death sound, and then we have some some force for our player to like hit back up with. I'm gonna show this, and I'm also gonna have to do something else really quick. So. Uh, I guess looking at this might be kind of extra, but if I create an empty and I put a box collider on it, I'll just say it like that. I guess this is more for me than you. Oh, that does some weird stuff. Oh, it's because I have to label this as ground. Okay. So he won't like it when he's in the air, but there we go. He'll patrol a platform. Okay, so I just wanted to show it in use before I ran over there and hit him. Because when I run over there and hit him, the way that I didn't figure this out until too late after I changed it and deleted everything, but the way that this works, where there's these holes, or this is what I'm guessing, the way that this works, maybe it's not coming up right here where it should be, so that's why he's not seeing it, but this is labeled as ground and he doesn't see it sometimes, so um, that was how I was bug testing it. So I figured out after a little bit that my pawn works. It's something with my ground. Because if I make a flat object and label it ground, he'll patrol it just like he should. So next time, tile maps for a platformer, probably a no. I see why you did that in class. Anyway, though, here's how my on trigger enter 2D works. I'm going to do what's called a pro gamer move. Just like I did last time. Prop myself right there. See, it's stuck on the ground. But if I hit his head, and hopefully I can do this. See, I bounce back up. He blows up. I get some points. I collected a coin, I think, earlier. Yeah, and it keeps track of my coins. So there's that. Oh, I guess I left that in there. So we'll just delete that. So then after that, I have we have a heat-seeking thing, which to do this, I'll have to show you. Um, I've got this going on. It's not on. I'm not going to explain all of this yet because it is not on my grading checklist. But there's a state machine in here. So my boss, in all of his phases, um, will chase you. He'll come right to you. I use a vector 3 dot distance to find out how far you are, and then I set this. This is just for seeing if he gets to a certain distance to the player, he stops before, just kind of like in Sneaky McSneak face. Um, and then this right here actually gets the direction towards the player. Then I set the Y value to 0 so he's not like moving through the air or anything weird, and play his walk animation. And then I pass pawn dot move that direction so he moves towards you. Kind of a different way of doing it than we did before. This did just say heat seeking though, so we're gonna observe that. Alright, so now we're at my boss. And see, he'll move towards the player and jump. Probably need to put more jump force on that. But if I sit there, he should actually hit me. I just killed him. The feedback on that is working kind of weird. But anyway, so there was my heat seeking. He'd move towards me. And then we need an instantiation, which I should have just showed you there, because I will have to do the same kind of thing again now for the instantiation to work, because so I'm just going to show this really quick. I guess I could have popped a game manager into my second stage, but this will work just as fast. So for my next platformer, we'll definitely not be using a tile grid, but here's my snail. So my snail actually looks to see a wall, and then we'll turn around. And then if you jump on him, he plays a death sound and spawns a shell. And yeah. So that's that. The instantiation actually goes on over here as another on trigger enter 2D. This is embarrassing, or not. Oh yeah, it does. I just didn't see it. Okay, embarrassing. This is where, no wonder why I was so confused. This is where the instantiation actually goes on. I call a new game object called snail shell. Um, it says this isn't needed, but before I had it on, it wasn't working, so I just left it on. I know you can usually just say instantiate, and I did that in my asteroids, but programming, you know. So I basically just instantiate the snail shell on top of this game object's position, which is the snail pawn, and you have to choose the prefab up here. I have a public game object right there for it, so you choose the snail prefab, and then that's how it pops out, and that's also why it kind of comes out on top. I just got the instantiation there. Getting all this together was fun. So then after instantiation, we have a canvas screen space, which is my HUD right here. I guess I'm going to have to re-upload. Anyway, that should have been checked. I have a scaling UI here. It'll scale with the screen size. This is Project 3. That's my canvas screen space. Um, and my canvas scaling, I guess. And then obviously inside of it, it has text objects for the coin amount. Um, some of them have icons. Like the coin has an icon, the health or the lives have an icon. I have text objects for the lives and the score too. Um, that all have this. And then there's some in other scenes. Okay, so then we're on to controller parent class and AI controller player controller. I'm just going to do both of those at the same time. Obviously, as you can see right here, I have a player controller object and a player pawn. I have a walker controller and a walker. So I've made controllers for each of my enemies. The walkers pretty much just walk right unless if the controller isn't empty, and then they'll sense an edge and turn around. Um, Here's obviously the pawn for that. Do I have my player controller open? I do. Here's my player controller. It basically just does all the movements like you should, pretty much. Um, but it also kind of handles a little bit of how double jumps operate, and obviously it does the sprinting. The sprint boost is on the pawn, but it's added here. So, I need to show the controller parent class now. Um, Here it is. I have it in a pawns and controllers folder, and everything is grouped up with their pawn and their controllers, but then the parent classes are just sitting here. I thought that made the most sense. And the controller here pretty much just gets its pawn. Jacqueline actually showed me a really cool way how to use controllers where you pretty much automatically give everything states at the same time. So I obviously I'm gonna try to do that with my next game. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so there's my my controller things. Now we're done with Project 3. We're going on to the Project 4 stuff. Um, Down here. So, we're gonna start out with the is grounded stuff, and that is sitting on my pawn. So everything can pretty much have a grounded thing, even if they don't jump. Um, we just raycast down onto the ground layer by a designer set distance. Um, and this is from the component this is on. So it's from our pawns actually. And if that isn't null, your jumps are set to max jump, so you get all your jumps back. So that's how you can double jump and stuff. And then you return. Which the double jumping, it's not exactly how, it's just that controls the number of jumps you have left. Exactly how is handled for the player anyhow in the player controller. Other things just can't. Other things just don't really make use of double jumps in my game, to be honest with you. So, uh, talking about jumps, actually, talking about jumps and double jumps. Um, Here's part of the double jump, where if you hit the jump button and the number of jumps you have is greater than zero, of current jumps you have is greater than zero, it plays the jump sound, does pawn dot jump, and then it minuses the amount of jumps you have. That's cool. And then if you don't have any jumps, so this is for um, basically when you get grounded again and you want to jump. It's so you can still jump on the ground, really, when you're grounded. So if you have no jumps but you're grounded, well, it says here. Let me break it down. It says else if you press the jump button and your current jumps are equal to zero and you're grounded, you can jump and it'll play the sound. So this just makes sure that you can like jump and you don't get stuck and you can still jump when you're on the ground. Even though when I have it to where I'm sure you could do it some other way, but I have it to where when in is grounded returns true, it also sets your jumps to the max amount of jumps. And then here's just another application dot quit by hitting escape. We just leave that in there for my builds that don't have. This one doesn't necessarily have menus, in-game menus, I should say. And now I'm gonna just show my double jump really quick. So as you can see, I can only double jump if I go to my player pawn and I look at my max jumps. So it says 1 because when you jump from here, it doesn't actually minus a jump because of that other statement. This is just using that else if statement when you're grounded. Because that other one doesn't have anything to do with is grounded, that's why you can do it in there. Because I don't have anything to do with is grounded in there. And then if you look at my pawn statement, the pawn jump function actually doesn't have anything to do with is grounded in there either. It's only on my player controller. And all it does, the reason why it works is because of this. Because we minus our jumps when we jump and we haven't been grounded. So that's how it works. And obviously when it returns true again, my jumps are set back up. I don't know if I can do this during play. But look, I can triple jump now. Let's do something fun, like 10. Oh, I'll die. Okay. So yeah, let's not do that. And you can see how they're related. It changes. Isn't that cool? Okay. Anywho, on to the next one. Checkpoints. So, as we can see right here, I have my checkpoint prefab. Here's the code for it basically. So this animator is for when it changes, when you go across it. Now I added that in since the last video of the platformer. Basically, I make a vector2 called point update, and it has a on trigger enter 2D. It has a collider around it, and when it checks to see if what passes through it is the player, and if it is, it makes the activated animation, and it's starting off doing a not activated animation. That's just like the default one on the sprite. So this makes it switch to its activated animation, and then it sets point update equal to its own transform dot position. And then this is where one of the points for my game manager singleton comes into play. There's that respawn point. It sets it equal to point update, and then the game manager uses that on player death to see where you come back at. Pretty cool. So now, really quick, a little bit out of order, but we're going to do sounds really quick. So you can see I'm getting a jump sound here. I have them all as, for the player anyway, as audio sources on my camera, and I find them with tags in the code. So I find it with the tag, and then I get the component on an audio source, and then I just call that jump sound dot play. I just call that when I want it to play. All of that, everything sounds is pretty much handled. See, here's death sound. Everything sounds is pretty much handled on its own script. The player is the only one really with it handled on its controller besides, well, the boss doesn't, never got any sounds, but it does have some animations it's supposed to play. It does get destroyed a little bit too soon. So maybe I should call this first. Anyway, and then the coins also play a sound. See, coin collect game object find. So then they also have a points value. That's all extra though. So there's another game manager use. But it plays the coin collect and then actually destroys the object because, you know, the coin's got to disappear after you grab it. So now with the sounds, I'm going to show you the multiple scenes I have. my game complete, I'm just going straight down the list. Here's the game over. There's my first level, my second level. There's my main menu, and there's the victory screen. So what I can do is I can start here. Um, then I play super, super good because I'm just a pro like that, and I beat the level. No, wait. I had to show you checkpoints. See, they light up. And then if I die, I'll start back at it. And if I were to happen to somehow get a further back checkpoint or something, and I die, I'll start at that one. Anyway, so there's my jumping sound. There's a coin sound. There's the next scene. RIP. Okay, well, there's an example of a game over screen. I guess you don't have to see. Oh, okay. But yeah, multiple scenes. There you go. The rest of this is kind of extra as I go through the rest of this scene, because it's not on my rubric, but I wanted to show it work anyway. So we get to level 2. Yay, victory. Oh, we kill the walker. We kill the snail. It makes a sound. Checkpoint should probably make a sound too. That would have been cool. We're gonna die getting to the boss. But just because I want to show this to you, we're not gonna die getting to the boss. So I click on my boss controller, and as you can see, he's in the idle state right now. Watch the states. I approach him, he goes to phase 1. Now, it's not clear, but when I hit him, he actually goes to phase 2 if I take out damage. Each time I hit this box on the top of him. Now he's in phase 3, and now he's dead. So the state machine works, it's just the way I'm using the animations don't work. I don't know what it is about it, but they're not working. But the state machine works, so that's a good sign. And then you jump over here and you win. Would you like to play again? I can say yes, it'll take me back to the first screen, and I can say no, and it will take me there. So there's that. And I guess I explained it before, but the AIs, like the snails, raycast is the same as the other one. I say it in the summary, but it goes out to its negative, right? Because that's the snail's front, like where it's facing. So the snail shoots it out in front of it, which is actually it has something called a wall detect. So it's in front of it, but I made an empty and put this little eye thing on it, and it was like the visible icon, which I thought was a good idea. So it shoots it out from kind of a little bit above its own face, just so I could make sure it would hit a wall and not like something weird with the ground by coming off the bottom of it. That would be weird. So it does that. It shoots it out, and it'll see if it hits a wall. And if it gets too close, I don't have it commented on here. It's commented on the walker one, but if the detect glider equals true, it'll go through this code down here. So then it'll see if it's moving right. If that equals true, it'll flip it to specifically. It doesn't flip it, but it sets its y at negative 180. So that's if it's moving right. So now it's facing left. It sets its degrees. And Euler angles is how you do that. Otherwise, this would set it like way super far down, like in the world space or something. I don't know. Which, by the way, I had to figure that out, but I had to look it up after I watched this video from this Blackthorn prod guy. And then I do the same thing here, but it's just else because if moving right is not true, it'll just so if it's facing left, it'll just set it back to 0, which is now facing right. So then it says, okay, now we're facing right again. It sets facing right to true. And here it sets it to false to show that we're not facing right. So that's everything there. I use a bunch of on-trigger enter 2Ds. Here's some of my scene loading things. Like this is the victory zone, and it just loads the next thing in the build index. But then I also had to make a different thing, which actually I just ended up using the game over scene text for my victory or for my game complete scene. If I load that, it's actually just the game over scene script. So I had the script for the buttons. Yep. And then that is about it for everything. So I will end my recording now and upload it to YouTube. I guess I'm going to film a build. You don't have to watch this. This is more just to remind me that I did it. I saved a build somewhere in here too, so. Ooh, that looks atrocious on my screen. Oh, oh. How hilarious. How hilarious. Oh my god. Okay. So funny. I suck at my own game. Cool. Good point though. Alright. Oh, no way, dude. I just want to play my own game. See, so that's what I'm saying about the colliders with this. It definitely is the bane of my project. Next time. Interesting. Next time I'm not going to use these colliders on a tile map like this. This is a horrible idea. I'm imagining that's why I'm slipping through. Because if you look, which I showed it earlier, it's why it's messing everything up. But the walkers are really cool. I was really excited about those. I'm kind of sad I switched to this tile map grid. Okay, that's the end of it. Thank you for the class.